we are in the fifth week of Lent, and we're just a week away from Holy Week. We'll remember Jesus' triumphal entry into the holy city of Jerusalem and his passion, his suffering and death, and then his resurrection on Easter. Today I want to offer you a reflection on John chapter 15, where Jesus talks about being the true vine and we being the branches. He says, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He removes every branch in me that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit he prunes to make it bear more fruit. You have already been cleansed by the word I have spoken to you. Abide in me as I abide in you. Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit, because apart from me you can do nothing. Whoever does not abide in me is thrown away like a branch and withers. Such branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask for whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. My Father is glorified by this, that you bear much fruit and become my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you, so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete." Just a few chapters before this, Jesus says in chapter 10 of John's Gospel that the Father and I are one, a statement that's so blasphemous to the religious ears of his time that it nearly gets him stoned. He does not see this unity with God as an exclusive privilege, but as something shared by all human beings. What he has in mind is a complete mutual indwelling. I am in God, God is in you, we are in each other. A mutual inter-abiding, which expresses the indivisible reality of divine love. Trinity is one word that we have used for this flow of inter-abiding love. The flow of God's love is so wondrous in its unity that we can only conceive of it as community, Trinity of persons. And so God flows into God's self. God also flows into us, and we into God, because it is the nature of love to flow. In our passage from John's Gospel, Jesus uses an analogy to talk about this flow of love, the vine. The vine gives life and coherence to the branch, while the branch makes visible what the vine is. The whole and the part live together in a loving mutuality, which belongs to the other and is dependent on the other to show forth the fullness of that love. That's Jesus' vision of no separation between humanity and divinity. It's a vision that he embodied, being both fully human and fully divine. It's a vision and reality that he offers us as well. Just as branches must remain attached to the stalk of the vine for nutrients and life, so is the divine the fountainhead of our life. But here, the analogy, the metaphor that Jesus uses breaks down. For we are also connected as conduits of this divine life for one another. Jesus taught us, both in Matthew and Mark, to love your neighbor as yourself. But we almost hear that wrong every time. We hear it as love your neighbor as much as yourself. But if you listen closely to what Jesus says, he said there is no as much as in his instruction. It's just love your neighbor as yourself, as a continuation of your own self. Understand that your neighbor is you. There are not two individuals out there, one offering pity or extending charity to another. We are simply two cells in one great body, one great life. Each is equally precious and necessary. It is here that we are able to recognize how the life of the vine meets the life at the table. As Christ is the host of the Eucharistic meal, he offers us his own divine life by laying it down for us. By becoming in himself our death, he offers us his life. We also offer that life to one another, discovering that laying down one's life for another is not a loss of ourself, but a vast expansion of it.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See those children all dressed in white. God's gonna trouble the water. They must be the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. Woes, wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See those children all dressed in red. God's gonna trouble the water. It looks like the band that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See those children all dressed in black. God's gonna trouble the water. They come a long way and they ain't turning back. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See those people all dressed in blue. God's gonna trouble the water. It looks like my people are coming on through. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Some say Peter and some say Paul. God's gonna trouble the water. There ain't but one God and she made us all. God's gonna trouble the water. Whoa,